The following is a production of Fenix Media. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the company or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.
What's up, bees?
Hello.
Welcome to the Brit on Blast podcast, where we put everything and anything on blast.
So excited to be here again, a new episode. And this week, what's our roundup?
So we're going to be talking about new beginnings and spirit animals. So that sounds kind of like crazy and doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But Britton and I had this like really intense, amazing conversation yesterday morning. We really wanted to talk about new beginnings because for me, the term "you can always begin again" keeps coming up for me because the last really since 2017 has been hard for me. I've been through a divorce. I lost my career. I worked for an incredible company. They literally built me into who I am today, and I lost that job because I became something that I wasn't. And then I continued to just be something that I wasn't. And the spirit animal of the wolf always comes up for me. And so you can always begin again and use your spirit animal as your compass.
So we're blending those two ideas and it'll make more sense as we get into it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the new beginning, obviously we're starting a new year, 2022.
Yup.
And I've been really thinking about new beginnings. And you know what? Sometimes they come without permission.
Yeah.
Like the new year, for example.
Right.
We can't do anything about that. And it comes regardless of how we feel, where we are in life, what we're doing, if we accomplished our goals, if we didn't.
Yep.
It's here.
You don't get a choice.
No. And with a new beginning, it always means an ending. And sometimes it's a happy ending and other times it's not. Maybe you weren't ready for things to end.
Yeah.
And so new beginnings can bring, a lot of anxiety, a lot of overwhelming feelings. And so we're talking about that, but we're trying to put a positive spin on it. But if you are feeling overwhelmed in this new year, know that that is completely normal,
right,
and warranted. And yeah, I feel like, we on New Year's, we toast and we're celebrating 2022 and we're partying and we're so excited. And then the next day, I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but it's paralyzing. You're like, I want to accomplish so much. I have so much to do. All the possibility of the unknown. And
right.
So anyways, that's what we're talking about with the new year coming.
And I honestly, that being said, I hate the new year. I hate New Year's resolutions. And we talked about it last time, the pressure of getting dressed up and having a midnight kiss and the whole concept, from start to finish is ridiculous. How did we all decide on this one day of the year that we were going to celebrate closing out a year, which I get it. We closed out a year. That's great. For me, my birthday is February 2nd. So it always the new year hits and then my birthday hits. And it's always for me, my birthday always feels like a fresh start, like a new beginning. I can become something new or this is a new opportunity. I don't know if anybody else feels that way.
Yeah.
But for me, this year, for some reason, I literally cried when we cheersed to the ending of 2021. I looked at my friend Brit and I was like, I did it. I didn't die. I didn't.
It was a long year.
It was a hard year. Yeah. And I was fully tearing up. I was like, oh my God, I made it. I made it out alive of that one. And I cannot believe it. And it just was such a release. And so for me, then the following 3 days, I was unwell. I pretty much sat on the couch and did nothing Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Don't you think that was just such a long time coming after such a long, hard, exhausting year that you're almost like a vegetable? You're just I cannot make another decision. I don't want to make another decision. I'm just going to lay here and be. And I did the same thing, Britt, and I'm super happy that I did. I was kind of forced into it, but I'm so glad because it really was just just be.
Right.
And it forced me to do that. And I'm so grateful for that. But so what you're saying is pretty much for you, 2021 was difficult, but you are looking to 2022 as a fresh start, a blank canvas, another opportunity to grow. Something that I think I've mentioned before, but we always talk on the phone before we do our podcast. that Monday, and we just kind of get all of our thoughts together, and just, if we always have our topics laid out, but if something's like really on our heart or something happened, we just want to incorporate it. And that's what it was with the spirit animals. And so we knew we wanted to talk about new beginnings. I mean, that's pretty basic with the new year starting, but the spirit animals are going to be exciting. So I can't wait for you guys to hear about that.
I know. I'm super, super excited. And I think as we go through, I know we've talked about Yellowstone before. We're both like huge into Yellowstone. I'm part Native American. So like, I think this is like, I don't know if you knew that about me.
No, I did not.
Where do you think Tincup came from?
I don't know. A whiskey company? Because I see a billboard for that.
Technically that came second, but yeah. And I don't know those people who started that. That's actually a place in Colorado. Fun fact, Tincup is like a mountain.
That's so cool. Tincup. That actually completely.
My grandfather was a drunk getting checked on, like getting like put on a reservation, and they were like, "What's your name?" And he was like, "Fuck you," which is accurate when you know me.
Brittany, fuck you.
My family like, "Fuck you."
Brittany, fuck you, Tincup.
But he had a tin cup full of whiskey, and so when they probably moonshine, honestly, when I was younger, it was milk. So whatever liquid you want to be in there can be
Grandpa's
in there.
old cough medicine.
Yeah, seriously. And when they checked him onto the reservation, they were like, "All right, well, it's going to be Tincup."
Oh my gosh. Do you know Johanna from Club Pilates was like, "That's your name? Tincup."
Yeah.
She's like, "No way. That's not your real name."
People think I'm lying all the time. The amount of times that I've had to actually when I turned 21 and my ID was still going like vertically, and I was in Orange County, so it was a Nevada license in Orange County. People would not let me into bars.
Yeah,
they would be like, "There's no way you're 21. This is a fake ID." It was like McLovin. Like people were like, "There's no way this is your real name." It's like, no, I swear to God, it is my real name. But we've been watching Yellowstone, and the wolf came up again for me. And so it was a trigger because I was like, why did I ever stop following the wolf? And I know we've used that for men in the podcast, like, and who knows what that situation, he can keep that name. We'll still call him that. But like, the wolf is my character. Like it always has been. I have it tattooed on my arm. Like the wolf is me. And so I think like, honestly, he should be honored that I gave him that name. No.
Yes. I mean, you labeled him as that, but the wolf is yours.
The wolf is mine.
Right.
And so just using that as a guide as we go forward in new beginnings. So
yes, I'm so excited. Let's just get into it.
Yep.
So Britt, because this is in your wheelhouse, why the Automobile Museum?
I mean, for me, it's about the cars all day long. I love cars. I like old cars, new cars, all the things. For me, the fact that they have the DeLorean here and the Batmobile in the same room is like, it makes my heart happy. So that's why for me, but I think for like someone like us, like doing things with all of our friends, like 160 of our close friends could go to the theater.
In any movie that you want. They have so many things to offer. The space camp for your kids, if you like need a little break or you want to look at the cars. Reno's just really lucky to have it. It's one of the biggest collections, I think, in the country, which is awesome.
It's so cool. And the fact that it's here in the biggest little city is like the coolest thing ever. So yeah, grab a bottle of tequila and come on into the theater.
Yes, Back to the Future.
Get all your friends, 160 of them, so the whole town of Reno.
So everyone you know.
And watch a movie.
Yep.
You can find tickets at the automuseum.org.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where you go get your tickets.
Perfect.
Fun day.
We're going to start with spirit animals and then we're going to get into the new beginnings, but let's give it a whirl.
Yeah. So, the reason, again, we kind of talked about Yellowstone and how that kind of sparks some things. So there is a conversation that happens between Casey, Mo and Thomas about the wolf that he keeps seeing. And if you guys, spoiler alert, if you guys haven't watched it.
I mean, it doesn't really spoil anything. It's just
some lines from the scene basically. But he says, I think it's either Mo or Thomas says, the wolf is our protector, your spirit animal, because in your heart, you're part wolf too, but carrying the wolf is a burden. He is the hunter most hunted, the killer most killed. This resonated so much with me because throughout my life, the wolf has constantly come up, whether it's been, I felt like a lone wolf. There was a point where my my family, we all have like little packs all over the country. And so the ones in San Diego when I lived in Orange County called me the lone Tincup. And which is ironic because I was married. And at the time my last name was not Tincup. I should have read that sign too. But so I got a lone wolf tattooed on my arm. And I truly felt like a lone wolf and carrying the wolf to me. And my dad has always talked to me about wolves my entire life, like from absolute childhood. It always comes up for me. And whenever I'm in a state of like chaos, the wolf appears in some way in my life. And I think we've talked about, like, I named that guy that I met the wolf. We had conversations about the wolf. Like whenever I'm on the right path, the wolf comes up. Okay. So I'm going to explain an experience that I had, and Britton doesn't know this experience, but when you guys find out what her spirit animal she chose, you're going to be literally floored.
Oh God, I'm so nervous right now.
Yeah. So I'm a pretty spiritual person, and I always have been. Like energetically, I feel like I just understand things and people and experiences through energy. I came upon that because years ago, I want to say it was like 2016, I had gone to get a massage at just like a random like hole in the wall box place. And they were like, okay, well, all we have is a Reiki lady. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Whatever. Fine.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Can she massage my muscles? And the answer was yes. So I went in, and she was like, well, do you want me to like, she's like, you have a lot of like intense energy. Do you want me to like,
shocker?
I know. She's like, do you want me to like do a Reiki session on you? And I was like, fuck, whatever. Who cares? Like, I'm going to be in here for an hour and a half. Let's do it. So she does. And I was resistant to it. And she was an incredible masseuse, first and foremost, but she was also very gifted in this space. By the end of, there was a period, like I closed my eyes and there were different like colors she led me through and things that I didn't really understand. And a lot of purple came up, but I don't know what the fuck that means to this day. But what happened is I finally like let loose. And this was a period of time where like I was in a miserable marriage. I did not know what my next steps were going to be. I was asking for a divorce and was not getting it. Like I was miserable, and I was so scared. I remember being so scared of what my future looked like because I had gotten myself into this mess and I didn't know how to get out of it. And I'm laying there, and I just so clearly saw myself as a little girl walk under this giant tree and sit down below it and just hold my knees to my chest. And I just felt that fear. And then the little girl turned into a wolf. And it was like a moment where the wolf had appeared for me that I like wasn't thinking about wolves, nothing. Now I think about them a lot more than I did back then. And I turned into a wolf, and an eagle appeared out of the tree. I wish you guys could see Britton's face right now. An eagle appeared out of the tree. And at the time I thought it was my dad. And I knew that if I followed the eagle, I would be okay. Oh, and the eagle soared up ahead of me, and I just like slowly strutted off after the eagle.
Wow.
And the eagle and I like went off and then that was gone.
Oh my God.
So what's your spirit animal, Britton?
Oh my God. I'm shook. I have chills. I chose the eagle. This is insane, Britt.
I know.
Holy
so when you
shit.
told me that, I've been like literally holding this in for 24 hours. So when we had our call yesterday, I was like, I can't tell her. Like I need the reaction.
Yeah, but you were like, I have something to tell you. I have something to tell you. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, we always have stuff to tell each other, but that's crazy.
Right. So I wanted it to be impactful because everybody believes different things. And like at the time I didn't believe in any of the things that I was experiencing. And as I've like come, I mean, it's obviously been a lot of years since the wolf. After that experience, I got the wolf tattooed on myself. And I was like, when I got that wolf, I thought, okay, well, I am a lone wolf. Like, and if I'm a lone wolf, that's okay. I'll always find my way back to my pack. Like my pack will always be there. And growing up, my dad was always like, you don't understand how important wolves are because they function in a pack. The pack is always the number one. Everybody has a role to play that gives back to the pack, and there's always going to be a leader. And my dad, you know, he worked a lot. So he was like in and out of our lives a lot, and not out of our lives, but you know, he was traveling overseas and stuff. So I ended up truly like being the leader of our pack because my dad played the alpha when he was home. And when my dad wasn't home, I played the alpha.
Wow.
And it was always just non-negotiable that I was going to have to be strong and that I was going to have to be fearless. and that there was going to be hard times that I was going to have to persevere through. And I didn't get to be afraid when everybody else got to be afraid. I didn't get to be afraid. And I know that we've talked about that through the experiences I've gone through in the last couple weeks. And so for me, I will always, if you are within my pack, like if you are within my crew, I will literally go to bat for you at the cost of my own self. And that's something that like you can see. And for a long time, you know, people will tell you within like even energetic spaces, like that's bad. You shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of me. And the second that I stop looking at that version of myself as my kind of like goalpost, this is the second I get off course. Mm-hmm. I was put here to be this since the moment I was 5 years old, to be strong and to be somebody that people could depend on, to be confident, to be fearless, to do all of the hard things. And,
you always mention that sometimes people say that you're intimidating or you're too much or you're loud. I mean, a wolf is intimidating.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. And I think that like, you know, when you look at a wolf, right? And I had a friend, I'm going to pull this up really quickly, but I had a friend say to me, and I shared this privately because it is hard to like, it's like a weird thing, right? Because I don't want to be boastful about feeling like I'm the wolf, but this is a friend who I've known for, I don't know, like 5 years now. And he said, I said, if I told you that I relate to a wolf, like what characteristics do you feel that I have in common with a wolf? And he said, you're beautiful, but elusive. You are independent. You don't obey. And I don't like, if you tell me to do one thing, I'll be like, fuck you. I'm doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, don't
Good
tell
thing
me
you own your own business.
Right. Even if you tell me to do something that I was already thinking about doing, I'll be like, no, but you said it. So I'm going to actually do the opposite. He said, you choose to cooperate when you feel like it. And he said, and when you stop baring your fangs and you choose a mate, it's for life. You're fiercely loyal to your pack.
Wow.
And that's wildly true. Like
so cool.
And even if it's not a mate, if it's like, if I've chosen you to come into my space, like I am fiercely loyal to you until the death. But yeah, people call me intimidating. They call me a lot of things. I think people are afraid of me a lot of the times. Like they've definitely, you know, through playing sports and working in the fashion industry, I've had a lot of women like peg me as whatever they feel that I am. And
mostly projecting their insecurities onto you.
Right. And that has really made me dim myself. And I think that like we have to remember that people, like what Britton just said, project themselves onto us and they try to make us smaller based off of their own insecurities. And we live in a world where it is not necessarily like, sometimes I'm not in any way, like I'm not arrogant. I'm not conceited. I'm not like, I am truly a very humble person, but I know my place within this world. And like, well, I think that scares people.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, we're talking about these spirit animals, right? And just being so self-aware that you identify as the wolf, like has helped you, and this year will continue to help you because this podcast has made us take a deep dive into it, right? Yeah. But you've always known that. And it's almost like you're uncovering these truths that you have known forever, but have just almost suppressed.
Yeah.
So now they're coming out in 2022 and you're going to refer back to the wolf as you navigate through this year.
Right.
And towards your goals. But yeah, I love what you've said about the wolf, and how your friend described you is spot on.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing too is like, and this goes for every animal within the world, right? Within this earth, everything, like without one animal, the ecosystem fails. Okay. So without the wolf, I think you said there was an entire documentary on this. Without wolves, which the world views as like predators, scary, horrifying, intimidating, all of these things, like there is no ecosystem without them. Right. Okay. Entire ecosystems have failed. So like own the piece of you that you feel might be too much, that everybody tells you is too much. You guys, I went through 2021 and I literally can tell you with all honesty that I gave you 50% of myself.
I can't wait. Let's get going.
Isn't that crazy? Like 2020 and 2021, I gave you 50% of myself. And quite frankly, I didn't do so bad. I started a business. I have a successful business. I like made it through one of the hardest years of my life, like at 50%. Imagine what we could do if we did 100.
At 50%, you set yourself up for a ton of success.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, I'm excited to see what full 100% wolf blood, part wolf Britt does.
I'm going to be honest. She might be a little scary for some people, but you know what? If you're not here for it, then I'm sorry. Like, actually, I'm not sorry.
Yeah. Don't apologize. If you're not here for it, you don't need it.
Yeah. And you know what? Somebody else is better for you. Like,
right.
Follow somebody else. Don't follow me.
Right. I love that.
So, okay, I'm super, super excited. And when I loved like hearing you talk about how you relate to the eagle. And I think it is very fascinating that we gave two people that we respect the animal that we most saw for ourselves.
Right.
That was most meaningful for us. So tell me about the eagle, Britton.
Okay. So if you missed the podcast before where we talked about wolves and eagles, I said that my husband, John, is like an eagle because he flies high in the sky above all the noise. And so as I was going through this year or going through what I wanted to do this year, I was like, I'm going to take a page out of his book. Like I've said before, he has this inner peace, and I've always personally loved eagles. And so maybe that's why I projected onto him. Mm-hmm. He's never once been like, I'm an eagle.
Yeah.
He doesn't fucking know.
I couldn't imagine John doing that. John would be like, shut up. Don't ask me what animal.
Yeah. He'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. But so I'm going to just refer back to the eagle as a guide and kind of a compass for this year. And I'm going to nerd out about eagles for a quick second. Here are a few facts about them. So the first one is, depending on the species of eagle, they can reach a height between 10,000 and 20,000 feet above sea level. They are one of the only birds to soar above the clouds and avoid the rain. Eagles also soar higher and higher to avoid other birds such as crows. Crows fly in groups, and a group of crows is called a murder, which I think is so...
I don't know if you know this, but I'm terrified. Like I watched Birds when I was 6 years old, and I'm not okay.
Dude, that movie's... I hate crows. Yuck.
Get them out of my life.
Yeah.
Now that I know that they're called murderers or murders.
Isn't that crazy? So they will harass and peck the eagle as it continues to make its incline. And eventually when the eagle gets too high, the crows will obviously fall off because they cannot hang with the eagle at the elevation that he flies at or she flies at. Because eagles soar on wind currents rather than flapping their wings, they can fly for many hours without using up their energy. Eagles have amazing eyesight.
You need to practice that one more.
Why?
Because you try to use up all of your energy and you're like constantly flapping your wings and you don't have to.
So 100%. And I'm going to go through and take the application for each one of these. Okay. So eagles have amazing eyesight. They can see for miles. An eagle can spot possible prey over an area of around 3 square miles. They can see four times farther than humans. And the last one, they are monogamous. While they live in solidarity, they mate for life, choosing trees to build their nests, and they typically enlarge their nests each year. Okay, so I'm going to go through and just say how I'm going to apply all of these facts, which I was like totally nerding out on the eagle, and I just feel like it's such an incredible animal. I mean, all of those things.
No, it's incredible. Okay,
so... because they fly, they're one of the only birds to fly above the rain. And like I said, they fly higher and higher to avoid like peasants, like the crows. How I'm going to apply this is the rain or crows can signify distractions, and that can come in many different forms. Distractions are things that are outside of my control and things that I shouldn't be worried about in business or in day-to-day life. So for example, like the government restrictions trying to shut businesses down, we clearly don't know what's coming next. If that's what we've learned over the past few years, is like we have no control. We don't know what's coming next. So instead of focusing my attention on every change coming down the pipeline, I'm going to be laser focused on my business, my product, and how I can best serve my customers.
Yep.
Distractions can also come in the form of people. Not every person is going to love seeing you succeed. That's okay. You don't need to focus on the people who are against you or who are trying to undermine you. Instead, act like the eagle and fly higher and higher. Chances are those people are going to be staying at sea level while you're rising.
Yeah.
Okay, so because the second application is because eagles soar on wind currents. And this is the one that you were saying, they preserve their energy. They don't flap their wings. This is smart, and they don't want to waste their energy. I don't want to waste my days on things that don't matter for my business. So like a little financial term is ROI, return on my investment. Am I going to spend my time on things that enrich my business, my family, my relationships, and things that bring value and joy or movement in my life? I don't want to spend time flapping my wings on things that don't matter. So I'm going to refer back to that. You spotted that, because that's definitely something that I need to do.
Well, you said a couple episodes ago that you're a workaholic, and that's your energy type too. It's like to not flap your wings so much.
Yeah, I need to chill. They have amazing eyesight and can see for miles. Eagles can see something in the distance and they can prepare for it. I want to remind myself to have a 20K view in a 3-mile view versus a 20-inch view and a 3-inch view.
Yep.
I don't want to get bogged down with what's right in front of my nose. I want to keep perspective, keep that bird's eye view on my life and my progress in my business, in my relationships. Yeah. And things that won't matter, right? Yeah. Like that's when it's right in front of your nose, it seems like the most important thing. But if you keep that bird's eye view, it turns out it's just a small little speck on the ground.
Yep.
Eagles are monogamous. So obviously
this one's pretty
I'm married.
Fucking straightforward.
Yeah, I'm married, but I like this because it's just so important to me. Eagles also live in solidarity. So I love that, because while I am married and I love John so much, it is so important to me that we have our own interests, our own hobbies, and our own passions, but we always come back together at the end of the day. And I think that's really healthy. You know?
I think it's so interesting, because I'm thinking of, obviously I didn't do the applications. I'm very much like an experiential person. So it's like, that was just my experience. And as we're going through this, I know, and I love it. And I'm thinking of the applications for a wolf, and I'm like, that just keep going. We can go back to it. Did you say that they're... Well, a wolf, so they all have like their different roles within the pack. So some are meant to stay back and protect the pack, while like an alpha or a beta goes off and hunts. And I feel that I've always been an alpha. And so then when I go, like I'll go off and I'll learn things the hard way. And then I come back, and I think like when you look at like the overall, like they're fierce protectors of what they decide to protect. And so for me, that is the mental health space. Like I think that people's mental health is so important, and like really hearing and seeing people is so important. And so it's like, and I know that based off of my experiences. So that like going off on your own, and then the need to come back, like the independence to be able to go off and be strong alone, so that you can come back and like,
that's so healthy.
Be bigger or not be bigger, but be like a leader for a group of people is really powerful. And I think both the eagle and the wolf have that in common, where it's like the independence is as important as the group.
Do you know what I hear from what you're saying? Is when you're in a space, or when the right person comes along, they're going to be someone that lets you go and lets you run and lets you go hunt for periods of time, but will always be that anchor when you need to come back. They will always be that home. They will always be that pack.
Right.
And you need someone who's secure enough in themselves to let you go out and hunt.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, be able to come back.
Right. And we talked about this literally 2 seconds ago, but it's like, for me, I've dimmed a part of myself so that other people can feel comfortable around me. And that is that's the burden. I think that like when I listened to that on Yellowstone, I was like, that is the burden. Like,
so like as a life partner, I don't know why I keep referring back to that, or as people in your life, you need people in your life that can handle you, and that not only handle you, but empower you, and to praise the parts of you that you consider maybe negative.
It just can't be, and I don't view those things as negative. It's not, the people that view the parts of me as negative don't come into my circle.
Good. So but like, you were saying you were dimmed this year, so I didn't know.
Yeah. So like, I would say like my ex-boyfriend, for example, like the puppy, he had a hard time. A lot of men get into a relationship with me and they think, oh my gosh, this chick is so badass. Like she has all this stuff. She's independent. She's all of this. Like it seems so great. Right. And then you have to actually experience being with a woman who is quite frankly, doesn't need you.
So they like the idea of you, but then once they're in it, they're like, whoa, this is too much. And like, why isn't she needy? Why isn't she coming back? Like,
or whatever it is. And then I become the needy person.
Right.
Like I become to fill a void that they need.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Like, and that's, I know we're talking about my relationship, but I'm not going to be doing that with my business anymore. Y'all haven't seen a lot of the things that I have education on and that I have experiences in from Haven and Flux, because I'm so afraid to share those things, because some of them aren't really my story. Quite frankly, they are. A lot of them have to do with my brother.
You will share them. They're going to come out when your successes.
I'm 100% going to be sharing the ways that I've made it this far, like how my experiences have truly.
Yeah, well, it doesn't just happen.
It doesn't just happen.
Not luck.
Yeah.
So clearly you're doing something right. And the people who know will know, and the people who don't know
don't need to know.
They're the people who are not doing anything new. And so they never make mistakes. Right?
Oh my God, I love that.
Okay, so back to the eagle. And I was just saying like they're monogamous and John and all of that. And you just sparked something inside me that got me thinking. So John and I we're solid. Like we have a great marriage. It's not perfect. I will be the first one to admit that. We have our challenges. We've definitely had some ups and downs, but when I first met him, I was young and I had never felt the way that I felt when I was with him with any other person, girl or guy. Yeah. And I like in a friend or non-friend, like he celebrated the things that I always viewed negative about myself. And that's what I just said about you, because I maybe was projecting that onto you, but things that I thought were bad about myself, he would like laugh at. Like I would always have like mismatched socks on. Yeah. He went to the store and bought socks and like mismatched them and gave them to me as like a little gift one day. Like that's cute. And I was like, I always viewed that as me being like disorganized and like such a mess. And he loved that. Yeah. And so like, that's just one example, but he throughout my business has celebrated the milestones. And like, he's a financial guy. So he's kind of hard on BLFT and like tells me where I need to cut back. And, you know, we run a very bare bones business and I like that. We're lean and mean and that keeps us going. Mm-hmm. And that is him. That is his voice in my head. But, one time I was just feeling so down and like I wanted to kind of give up on BLFT. I just think we had like a few rough months and I was like, no one cares. No one wants to shop with us. Right. And he put together a little spreadsheet and he took me to dinner and cause I was down. Like I was on the couch face down for a day. Yep. And he took me to dinner and he was like, he put together the amount of sales that we have done, all this stuff. He was like, you have made sales to however many thousand people. These people made the decision to come to your store and shop with you. You have done X, Y, and like put together a little success spreadsheet. Like he is the freaking most amazing person as far as like seeing the good in me. And I just like, I want that for you so bad. And I know that you will find that one day, but he has kept my business going. And back to the point I was getting on. Yeah. Okay. So eagles are monogamous and they go back to the same nest every year and they make it a little bit bigger every year. So they enlarge their nest every year. And I want to take that as a financial perspective and continue to save money and enlarge, you know, what John and I have together.
Yeah. That's so incredible.
And lastly, not only are eagles these amazing creatures, but they're also very symbolic for our amazing country.
Yes.
They voted on the symbol of the eagle shortly after the Declaration of Independence, and there was a lot of animals in the running. But JFK kind of put it perfectly, and I just want to like give a shout out to our country. The founding fathers made an appropriate choice when they selected the bald eagle as the emblem of the nation. The fierce beauty and proud independence of this great bird aptly symbolizes the strength and freedom of America.
I just got chills.
I love it. You guys, think about in your life what spirit animal you would be. We're going to circle back to that at the end. But like, if this is getting your juices going, like, do you have an animal that you've always admired or some like an animal that you just think is beautiful, the way they move, whatever? So start thinking about that.
And I think that that's the most important thing. Like I had a friend, I asked her what hers was and she goes, you tell me what it is. I can't tell you. You have to know within yourself what it is.
That's what my friend said. And then you were like, okay, you observed things in your friend's life that you were like, okay, you always have this or this. I asked my friend the same thing. I was like, what's your animal? And she was like, I don't know. I'm not good at stuff like this. And I was like, yeah, you are. And then she was like, okay, sharks. And I'm like, frick yeah. Like it was so cool. So yeah, like, I don't know. Think about your animals, you guys.
It's so good. So, and we'll talk about how they apply at the end of this, but I think some really important things that we want to talk about is we are in a state of new beginnings right now, for better or for worse. I know I said, I hate them. I hate this time of year, like, at the beginning of this, but Britton stumbled across some writings from Allison Fallon. She's the author of The Power of Writing It Down. She has a beautiful way of simplifying really complicated things in an eloquent way. She also talks about how although new beginnings can be beautiful and fresh, they can also be overwhelming and sometimes paralyzing, like myself and Britton for the last 3 days. Yeah. And so, you know, you might not know where to start. And she gives 3 tips to help with that with the new beginnings. Is that a book?
So her book is The Power of Writing It Down, but this is just like on her blog.
Oh, okay.
And it's called The New Beginnings, the little page that I found it on. But I just thought these were so simple and easy. And like you guys, you know that we always want to give tips and something that you can cling on to for after the show. And
right.
Take some application towards everyday life, not just hearing about our nonsense all the time. But so there are 3 things to help with new beginnings. And you want to start with the first one?
Yeah. So I think that this is the most impactful one. Like, start where you are. You can't start anywhere else. Like, that's a matter of fact. Okay. All you have is the cards that you were dealt right now, whether they're good, they're bad, or otherwise. You can't change them. You can't do anything about it. The most successful people in the world started where they were. Okay. They didn't like get some easy handout situation thing. Like there wasn't any sort of thing. Like when paper books were paper books, Jeff Bezos started Amazon online paper books. Okay. As things progressed, he realized, okay, paper books are no longer as relevant as they were. I know some people really like paper books. I'm a huge reader, so that's controversial for me. Kindle is very efficient. He created Kindle.
Right.
And then we continue. And then Kindle wasn't enough. Okay. So he created an entire online marketplace. And when that marketplace wasn't enough at that moment in time, he created the best customer service, whether we all want to admit it or not, that is available in the country. And you get immediate satisfaction pretty much from his company.
Right. Yeah. I mean, start where you are. Mm-hmm. You can spend a lot of time wishing you were someone else so that you could start from where they started.
Yeah.
But that's just going to make you feel horrible about yourself and you will never be them. You'll never become, you don't
have their experiences.
Right. And you're wasting time.
Yeah.
Start where you're at. The only place that you can start is where your feet are.
And by the way, just start. Just fucking start.
And it makes starting really easy. It's like, start where I am. I'm sitting here right now. I'm just going to start.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, use what you have. You have resources at your fingertips. We all do. You can dwell on the fact that somebody else may have more resources than you do.
That doesn't change where you are.
No. But truly the most successful people are the ones that don't complain about what they have or don't complain about not having more. They simply just use what they have to make amazing things. So number 1, start where you are. Number 2, use what you have.
And you know what else you have? You have your mind, and you can change your mind at any given moment. You can look at the things that you don't have and you can get yourself in that mindset of, oh, Sarah has X, Y, and Z, and she's this, and she's prettier, and she's taller, and she's whatever the fuck she is.
We're all guilty of that.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that every single day. By the way, she's not you. Yeah. Okay. And you have no idea what she's gone through in life to get where she is. So change your mindset. Okay. You attract what's that phrase? I fucked that up.
You attract what you give or what you put out. Okay.
Focus on the good and the good gets better. That's what I was trying to say.
Use what you have and you always have your mind. And if your mind is in a bad place,
change it.
Love that. Do you want to hit the last one?
Yeah, I sure do. Do what you can. Okay. I mean, this is just like the main reason we experience so much disappointment in our lives and so much burnout before we reach our goals our goals is because we expect way too much from ourselves. Okay. Britton and I fully, like, we're constantly having that conversation with ourselves. Like, I'm not going to be a $1 billion company, but if I focus on what a wolf would do, if we focus on how high an eagle would soar, if we keep that pillar, then we can eventually get to our goals. But it takes one small step at a time. It doesn't happen overnight. Most companies are wildly successful within 10 years.
Yeah.
It's a 10-year marker.
Right.
So don't get so disappointed with yourself and do what you can with what you have where you are.
I love that.
Did you see what I did there? I didn't do that on purpose. We didn't plan that.
No, that was beautiful. You did it backwards.
Wow.
Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
And you're not a superhero.
Nope.
And neither are wolves and neither are eagles.
Unfortunately, we're not.
And we're going to fuck up.
Yeah, of course. Mistakes are how you learn. And like I said, unless the only people who don't make mistakes are the ones who don't try anything new.
Yep.
And guess what? We try something new every single day.
Every day. And
for
you know
example,
what?
this podcast.
And you know what? There's nothing in my life that I don't give in to fear. That's why I picked the wolf. Okay. I'm afraid every day. You think a wolf goes out and faces a bear and is like, you know what? Like,
no, he's on high alert.
I'm good. Like, this is easy. I can handle this bear. No, a wolf goes out, sees a bear and goes, fuck, what's my plan?
Right. Fear's not always bad.
And works through it and hopefully brings back a meal to its family.
Right.
I mean,
seriously.
So to sum it up, do you want to sum it up for us?
Yeah. And one thing I just want to mention is that if anyone who makes you feel like time is running out or like, I don't know, do you ever get that? Like people are like, you better, or you're in a huge rush or like your business, you better get to that soon.
I'm single, about to be 32 and don't have kids. Okay. And I want kids. People are like, so you know that like this year your eggs are just going to freeze up inside of yourself. I'm like, you know what? We'll deal with it when it comes, but thank you for the anxiety.
Like, how long have you been married? I'm like, since 2017. They're like, so you better get on that.
You think I don't try every single day?
So yeah, anyone who makes you feel like time is running out is trying to get you to do something that benefits them.
Yeah.
And that you might not agree if you do have too much time to think about it.
And it might align with their goals and not yours.
Right.
Okay. So keep that in mind too.
So don't be frantic. You don't need to go. I mean, we don't need to like sit around, but like when people put that like time pressure on you, know that it's a them thing. You can always start where you are, use what you can and do what you can. Use what you have and do what you can.
Yep. And I think the other thing is too, if you are someone like me who went through the last year and you were at 50%, okay. And this kept coming up for me. It started coming up in October. You can always begin again. You can always begin again. And I think that we've all been ready for a new start for probably 2 years. We're all like, can we just fucking cancel this whole situation and just try again?
Yeah.
We can't, unfortunately. We are stuck with these circumstances. And change and new beginnings aren't easy either. So what we want to challenge you guys to do is to find an animal that you relate to, one that you admire, one that comes up for you a lot. And what I would really challenge you, if there has been an animal in your life, I have a friend, he's like, I'm a tiger. And I was like, that's because you're like a fuck boy and you're always on the prowl. Hey. And he's like, listen, I know myself. But when he looked up the characteristics of a tiger, it was a lot of goal-oriented things, right? And they travel alone and all of these things. It actually did relate to him a lot. So I think you guys will be fascinated to see that, you know, we talk a lot about mentors. And I'll try to be quick about this. I had a mentor in my life when I worked for the jewelry brand that I worked for. He challenged me to be the best version of myself. And for a long while, he motivated me and encouraged me to embrace my full self. And I was the best version of myself. I generated millions of dollars for that company. I led a huge sales team. I was so proud of myself. To this day, I am so proud of what I've done for that company and what I was to those people. When I stopped looking to him to lean on, I started to lose myself. Not because I didn't know who I was, but because I started focusing on things that were not in line with my goals. I started letting in people that were telling me things that didn't align. We don't all have mentors. I don't have access to that guy every single day like I used to, okay? Create your own pillar, your own compass, your own mentor in a spirit animal.
Yeah.
And look up the characteristics that are animals that you already know about, and then use that to pull you back to center and keep you going in difficult situations in 2022.
As a compass for your year. I mean, we're never going to stay on the straight and narrow of like doing everything that we want to do, but like you're going to go off road a little bit, but use it as a compass to pull you back. And we are so excited to hear what the animals you are that you choose.
I know.
So hit us up on Instagram. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. Like she said, please check out Brit on Blast. We are going to be posting a little story. I want to know what your spirit animal is. And, if you guys liked this, please review, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can find us at BLFT Reno and at Haven and Flux and at Brit on Blast. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you guys next Wednesday.
Cheers.